As Joseph said, I am Boyson Angosi, and I'm a PhD candidate. When I saw your flyer, I was like, this man wants trouble for me. I, I'm not done with my PhD yet. I'm still left with a few months to finish up. So I'm still a candidate, still a student like you at business school in the finance department. Um, if you don't mind, I could share a word of prayer once again. Then I start. Father, thank you. I pray that you open every mind and every heart to learn, to be equipped, so we can be good stewards of what you bring our way and be a blessing to our world. I ask that we go back with the consciousness that will be birthed in us by you as we go through this seminar. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so I'm starting the presentation by looking at the finance landscape. And I want to start with this particular Bible verse. And I know somebody will be wondering, am I coming for a seminar or for a sermon? My answer is both. And it's both because of what you will soon understand. Ecclesiastes 10:19 says, a feast is made for laughter and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. You heard that right. The Bible said it. That it's money that makes the world go around. Laughter and bread go together, and wine gives a sparkle to life. But it's money that makes the world go around. So money is so critical. And, yes, finance is money. In general parlance, that's how we put it. So when you say you're doing a PhD in finance, everybody thinks you should know everything about money. But when you come to my thesis, I'm working on things like this for my PhD. Things like that one. And when I'm playing with my own money, I'm playing with things like this. I took this chart about 2 hours ago from the Bitcoin chart terminal on Binance. And somebody can master one of these things, or probably these charts, and know nothing about the top two. And somebody can be very good at the formulas, like some of the formulas I work with on my screen here, calculating pairwise directional connectedness for different stock markets around the world. And he has no clue how to manage his own finances because of very poor habits. The one big thing I want you to pick from here, and maybe that should be a consolation to you, is that you don't need a degree to be an expert in managing your finances. You absolutely don't need a degree to gain that expertise in handling your own money. And you understand that very soon as we go through this. So, yes, you are coming for both a lecture and a sermon in this seminar. And I want you to open your heart to it because, anyway, your president knows he was inviting a preacher when he invited me. So, let's go. This is what we are going to be looking at as an outline. We'll have an introduction, and then we'll go through the importance of financial planning. And then maybe these two middle things are very important. The basic financial planning paradigm and skills, very important things we'll learn there. And then, of course, we'll look at investment, insurance, and retirement as the tools that can pick you from mere subsistence into financial freedom if you master and apply them very well. And you don't need a degree to do that. There are dimensions of that you definitely need a degree, but for your own money, I don't think so. Now we'll look at some general rules, which are very important, probably maybe the highlight of the presentation for many people, and then conclude with a few quotes. I want to start my introduction with a few W questions for young people to answer. I don't know how many old people are here, but it's very possible that most of the people here are my age group, one standard deviation below or above. And you would have to answer these questions whether you like it or not. So I want to ask you whether you have started thinking about them. What will you work after school? Or if you are not in school now, which probably there are some people who may come back to school later. Before you do that, where will you be working if you are not working now? Where will you be or where will you stay when your working days are over? Will you have the health and financial resources you desire through the rest of your life and when your working days are over? Will you spend the rest of your days in regret, wishing you had done some other things? Will you become a resource or a burden to your children, family, or society? Will you seek for an opportunity to reboot your life after retirement? You are now going to start a business after retirement. Will you continue to be faithful in your giving and serving the Lord? I told you I'm a preacher. Will you abide by the golden rule, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you? You know, friends, these are questions we put off. You know, retirement, how many more years do you have to retirement? We put it off. We'll talk about it later, but I want you to keep these at the back of your mind. Just realize that one of the phrases jumped off from the end of this particular. If you are taking notes, this fourth bullet, that's the ending, something about your future. So I want you to be thinking about these questions as we go through the rest of the webinar because it's critical. We can't ignore it. Okay? I hope you are with me. Are we on the same page? Are we together? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I thought I had dropped off. So in case you are struggling to hear me, just feel free to alert me because I don't know how this internet connection will treat me. So let me run through my presentation. And let's start with a premiere on personal finance. When we talk about personal finance, we are simply referring to the application of the principles of finance as a discipline. Okay, economics of money. We are applying those principles to the monetary decisions of an individual or a family unit. Nations employ people to be ministers of finance to take care of how their monetary decisions are made. Businesses employ accountants and finance managers to make those decisions. Whether you'll be able to employ somebody to make your monetary decisions for you is a big question. But the point is that you have to know how to make those decisions well. And that's where the applications of the principles that work on the macro scale come when you are handling your family's money or your individual money. Personal financial management, as I put it here, is a process of controlling income and expenditure, what you receive and what flows out of you, your receipts and your payments. And that includes budgeting, saving, investing, debt management. Very important. Debt management. Another aspect related to your personal money, whereby an individual can achieve personal goals. So you want to be able to use the resources you receive to achieve personal goals, but those goals have a cost a lot of the times. And that cost may involve you paying school fees or hostel fees. How do you manage the inflow of finances to you and the outflow? The process you use to do that is personal financial management. Now that's different from financial planning, which is a subset of your financial management. And financial planning is the predetermined use of limited or scarce financial resources in order to achieve a set of goals or objectives. Take note, limited or scarce. If you did some economics, these words will jump out at you. Limited or scarce. All your resources that will come to you are not limitless. At a point, you will have to decide how to use your limited resources on your unlimited needs and desires. But you must do that optimally to achieve your goals. and your objectives. So that involves you having knowledge of properly making decisions concerning your personal finances, whether it has to do with real estate. You want to own a home, you have to make a decision about that. Are you going to save to buy it, or are you going to engage a mortgage? How about insurance, investing, saving, right? Especially, maybe you are doing your master's right now, you are thinking of, I want to start with my PhD. Every one of us dream that when I want to do my PhD, I need a scholarship. And I pray you get a scholarship, but the truth is you may not. I don't know the number of times I've applied. But if it happens that you have to use your own money to pay for your PhD, how will you do it? Are you saving for it? How about your tax planning and retirement?
So I have a question.
I'll take your questions at a point. Okay? So at least after each section. Because I'm sure a
I
lot
have a
of the
question.
questions that are being generated
Okay.
now are going to be answered by things that will come soon. Okay? So let me just go through it. Please note the question down for me. It's very important. All right, so let's move on. Why? Okay, let me go through this. Very important. Biblical basis for financial management. Let me go through this. God owes all your money. And we know the parable of the talents in the scriptures, Matthew 25, 14 to 30. This man gave his money to his servants, each according to their several abilities. The money they had to do business till he comes was his own. God has a right to everything you own. They are all his. So you are essentially a steward. And that's a very big understanding of money you need to get. If you miss this, you think you own the money, you are a steward of it. There are a lot of mistakes would be avoided if you see your money as a trust to you. Because your children have a stake in that money. They didn't ask you to bring them here. So you are stewarding the part of them. They have a claim to it. And not only your children, but other stakeholders in your life. And that brings me to the fact that every money decision is spiritual. Whether you are giving, you are shopping, you are paying bills, you are investing, is funding something spiritual. And you can't fake stewardship. Your stewardship is evidence in your goals, your priorities, your relationships, your convictions, how you handle all these things. The second thing about money is that when it relates to God, we are in a growth process. So God uses money and material things to get our attention. He gives it to us as a tool or as tests or as a testimony. And you can look at the references to confirm those. But pay attention, when you come to financial management, as far as scripture is concerned, the amount is not important. And we can stay on this to the end of the day. But look at the three servants in Matthew 25. Each of them were given the amount according to their several abilities. And somebody decided that, I know you are a wicked master. You don't sow, you reap where you don't sow. And so I was afraid and I went to hide your money. Here is what you give me. He brought it back faithfully, but his master said, wicked and faithful, and wicked and unfaithful servant. Because the money you receive doesn't matter. He who is faithful in list is faithful also in much. The amount really doesn't count. You may say that now I don't have more than 600 cities to control a month. I don't use more than 1,000 cities a month. And if you're able to manage that well, how you manage your 1,000 cities today will determine how you manage your $10,000 tomorrow. The amount is irrelevant. It's the habits and the attitude towards money that's important. Moreover, faith requires action. A wicked slave, he slept. He hid the money. He knew what to do but did nothing. Sometimes you have an idea. A great idea came to mind. You received some money. You could have put it in to start a business, but you decided to use it to buy an iPhone. The idea will not bail you out. when you are in trouble. If you had started the business, that's what may have bailed you out. So why should you be interested in planning your finance? What's the importance of financial planning? It's important for you to have a better and comfortable and progressive life. Financial planning can give you an assurance of a secure future, at least to an extent. Tragedies do happen, but if you don't plan at all, whoa. Financial planning can help you improve your standard of living. And also, by implication, it can help you not to lose your standard of living in difficult times. Financial planning helps to reduce poverty and debt, as well as increase savings and investment. Poverty is not a blessing. The Bible declares clearly it's a curse. I'm not saying all poor people are cursed, but poverty can be the result of a curse. It's not a blessing. It's never a blessing. Anyway, I've passed biblical basis. Let me continue. Financial planning is important for your mental health. It helps you avoid needless stress. Just think about it. The times you have exams coming, you have no money at all, and there are demands here, left, right, center, things you have to pay for. And maybe you're expecting some money and the money is just not coming. How do you feel? Imagine living the rest of your life like that, regardless of how much you earn. You are always under pressure because your money never seems to be enough. It's not that the money is not enough. The amount is irrelevant. It's whether you've planned well or not. So you need financial planning for fulfilling God's call on your life, your purpose, your dreams, your aspirations. You need financial planning for that. You need it to have a quality education for yourself and your dependents, your children. If you don't plan today, you will realize you'll be struggling to pay school fees some 20 years from now. And to grow your assets, how much are you worth today? Some of us don't have assets, we only have liabilities. The things you count as your assets only take resources from you. They add nothing to you. You got money, you decided to buy a car, and the car will be consuming fuel. You have to be funding it. With my finance mind, I don't see that as an asset. I see it as a liability. But for some people, if you don't have a car, you are causing a problem for yourself because having a car will save you so much time. It will save you so much. You'll be able to be more productive. So the thing has to do with the principles behind it. And we are jumping into them very soon. The first paradigm in thinking about financial planning and financial management is an understanding of needs as against wants. A need is a thing that is necessary for your survival as an organism or even as an organization. To have a healthy organization, there are some things that need to be put in place. So needs are sustaining. A want is something that you like to have. They are not crucial to your sustenance, but they are entertaining. They can make you happy. Now, nobody is saying here that wants are bad, but the idea is that if you are prioritizing spending, make sure your wants are always at the bottom of the list. Else, you would be under pressure every time. Because you spend so much money on paying for things that are just wants. And when the real needs come calling, you are in trouble. All right. This is something we all know from JHS, Maslow's theory of needs. I have my own issues with this theory. I'm not a psychologist, but this is a crucial thing. Your basic needs, as Reverend Maslow, of course he was a preacher, pointed them out: food, water, warmth, rest, your physiological needs, and then safety and security. Then psychological needs, belongingness, and love needs, intimate relationships, friends, acceptance, basically, self-esteem needs, prestige, feeling of accomplishment and worth. And then at the top, self-actualization, achieving your full potential, including creative activities. I mentioned that I have my problem with this. I feel like our pursuit of these things are turned upside down rather. Because if the average person is taught how to seek the full meaning and purpose of their lives, all the other needs will eventually be met. But if people have food, water, they have security, and they don't know why they exist, they will cause problems for others. When purpose is unknown, misuse is inevitable. Let me move from here. So these are basic paradigms of thinking. What I was trying to illustrate here is that your wants are not the same as your needs. And when you are managing your money, you should pay attention to your needs first. And that will take us into some of the basic skills we need for financial management. The first one is budgeting. What's a budget? A budget is a plan. It's a plan in numbers. It's a financial plan which you use to allocate money over a specified period. So between now and next week Friday, what are the things I want to do and what are their financial demands? And which ones am I going to prioritize as a matter of spending on? So that's a budget, basically. It can be a complex, huge document. It can be a simple list. But a budget, regardless of how it looks like, is essential to living within your means and saving to meet your long-term goals. If you don't budget, you are not going to be able to spend within your means, and you are not going to be able to save enough for your long-term goals. So critical. Don't forget this. What budgets do is basically to control and prioritize your spending. So if you are sticking by your budget, you know I don't have to spend this much on this. And when you decide that I'm going to spend this and it's not your budget, you're not going to do it. You have a nice product you see in the shop and you're attracted to it. I wish I can buy this, but you've not budgeted for it. You are prioritizing because you have needs. That thing is just a want. Friends, the good news is that it has never been easier to manage your money than it is now in our world. There are so many budgeting apps. Even Excel gives you templates for personal budgets, for program activity, but all sorts of your smartphone. You can go onto App Store, Play Store, and just download so many different apps that can help you manage your finances day to day. It's right there in your pocket. And this is one of the reasons why you don't need a degree to be an expert at managing your finances. So how do you draw a budget? The first thing is to set your goals. Because the budget is supposed to help you achieve your goals. If you don't have a goal, you don't have goals, you don't have a plan of a list of action points or a plan of war, the budget will be pointless. So there are things you want to do. And some of us don't remember the last time we planned for the month. April is still young. You can plan for April. What are the things you should do? What are the things you need to do? List them, prioritize them, arrange them like a scale of preference. Again, economics coming back. Which ones are most important? What comes after that? List them up. And that will be your personal plan for the month. And that is what your budget is going to be based on. After you set your goals, you are then going to have to quantify your assets and your liabilities, your debt. What do you owe? What are the things? What do you own? What are the things you have? What's cash at hand? What money do you have on your mobile money? What do you have in your bank account that you can spend now? What things do you have? Do you have a little business that brings you some money every week? Are you having a car you use for Uber and it gets some money? What are your assets? What are the things that the inflow units in your life, the things that causes money to flow into you? And what are the things that cause money to go out from you? What are the things you owe? What are the debt obligations you have to meet? You have to point those out. And then you go to trade-offs and opportunity costs, because you will discover by the time you finish doing these two things that the resources you have, if you take your liabilities out of them, what is left is not enough to fund all your goals on your budget. So you have to trade off some things. And that's where opportunity cost comes in. Very important concept. If I were you, I'll use my scientific mind to go and read on some of the terms I'm hearing: opportunity cost, scale of preference, some of these economics, basic economics words. I don't know why they don't teach economics as a required course in the university. Anyway, keep quiet. And then when you look at, as you do your trade-offs, you take into consideration your needs versus your wants. Really look at your goals. Are they all needs? Are they all things that are critical to your sustenance? Or some of them are wants, things you would wish you are able to do. You wish you were able to take your girlfriend out 3 times in the month to somewhere. Okay, is that a need or is a want? Will you die if you don't do that? That is what is going to help you to make your budget realistic. Okay? So you are going to juxtapose your resources, your assets, against your goals and decide what to spend the money you have on, which amount, which percentage goes to which. We'll come back to this when we are getting down to the general rules at the end. But these are basically things to look at when you are drawing a budget, okay? What expenses are contractual, required? You have to pay prepaid. How about water bill? Okay, your rent is getting close, or your hostel fee. Those are obligatory expenditure. Payments that are contractual, you have to make those. Which ones are not? Voluntary. Things that you can say, well, I don't need to spend on this today. And then the last thing you would want to take note of, when you draw a budget and you start implementing it, and that's the most difficult part of budgeting, sticking by your budget. It requires so much discipline, because you can draw an excellent budget, state, prioritize well what to spend on, what not to spend on, the things to move to next month. But sticking by that budget is the most difficult part. And that's where you need discipline and you need to keep track of all your spending. It's just like time management, friends. It's sticking by your own decisions is the most difficult part. And I always say, if you make rules for yourself and you don't keep them, how do you expect God to respect your rules? If we don't respect the rules we make for ourselves, how do you expect God to use your plans for anything? How you go by your own rules is a prayer you are praying. So this is a personal finance landscape, the things that are going to flow in when you start looking at your budgeting and your financial planning. Your goals, what are the goals you want to achieve? What are the liabilities that you have to take care of in achieving those goals? Are you having some inheritance, some insurance? If, for example, your car gets a problem, do you have insurance to cover it? Investments, loans, expenses, assets, income, health, taxation, risk, retirement. This thing, retirement, we'll come back to it. Wealth transfer, employment, lifestyle decision you take. You like vacationing, you like going out to expensive restaurants, and your aspirations, because your aspirations inspire your goals, and to achieve your goals, there are obligations you have to meet. And some of these things are vehicles that are supposed to take you towards your aspirations. Okay. So in planning your finances, you first of all have to start by paying attention to your cash flow. I mentioned that. How much money comes to you, how much goes out. And then, if you're a Christian, your tithe and your taxes. So critical. Ghanaians have a habit of dodging taxes. please make up your mind that for the rest of your life, you are not going to break the laws of the country. It will give you so much peace of mind. Oh, it will give you so much peace of mind. Just tell yourself, I'm not going to dodge taxes. I'm not going to evade. I'm not going to break the laws of the country. I'm going to be a contributor to the nation. Get some patriotism into your blood. It's going to heal you. It's going to really spare you from a lot of mental health issues. Insurance, we'll talk about this soon. Of course, your educational expenditure and retirement planning is coming up again. And then your estate, your assets, the collection of your assets and their worth, and your major purchases. So these factors are things when you are doing your financial planning, you must keep in mind. And I keep mentioning them because you must not lose sight, and you see very soon why. I spoke about you being able to achieve your goals as one of the reasons why you need financial planning. And your goals can be put into two, your short-term goals and then your medium to long-term goals. For your short-term goals, your planning must take into consideration the basic formula you see there. So you have an income, and then you take out of it. So less means minus. So your income less your giving, how much money you give out. So in church, that includes your tithe, but it includes giving to your parents. Some of us have to start learning how to give up to our parents from now. If you don't learn it now, you are not going to be doing it when you have millions of dollars. You won't do it. So if I were you, I'll start learning how to give to my parents, give to people who don't have as much as you do. And then your taxes. So you take your income, you take your giving expenditure, your taxes out of you. And if you have any debt, settle them. How much of your debt are you going to settle? Some of us are living from debt to debt, and that's what's causing a stress for you. And then your living expenses. Now, if you take these things out of your income, it gives you what we call your cash flow margin. And when your cash flow margin is negative, you are in trouble. Never spend more than you earn. It's not a healthy thing. Don't allow your cash flow margin to go negative. Now, of course, your cash flow margin plus your asset appreciation. So probably you've bought some stocks and the price has increased. And sometimes you don't need an expert for these things. Go to IC Securities, go to Datab and tell them you want to buy. I think I bought MTN stocks around 50 something pesos. The last time I checked, it was around 2 cedis, 50 pesos. Almost 5 times increase in less than 5 years. So imagine if I had put 10,000 cedis there, it could have been around 50,000 cedis by now. So your asset appreciation is so critical. You add it to your cash flow margin, and it is the growth in your net worth. So if your net worth growth is negative, then you know you are getting poorer and poorer. If it's positive, then you are getting more abundance. Please take this as a major key in planning your short-term goals, okay? Take this seriously. Have at least a 3-month income buffer to cushion you in dry times. If you lose a job, if you have a major emergency, and you are not able to work for some time, God forbid, if you have some unpleasant things happening, if you don't have a buffer account sort of to cushion you in times like that, your standard of living will start declining. So in the short term, make it one of your goals to make sure that before this year ends, I'll make sure that my savings at least are equal to 3 times my income, my monthly income. It's a short-term goal. You can easily achieve it. So that when you are hit, within those 3 months, you can put A and B together to form a sentence and get your life back in order. But if you don't have any buffer cushioning you, you go into a hysteria and you are not even able to think well to put your life back in order. How about your long-term goals or medium to long-term goals? This is where financial independence comes in. And your pension and retirement is a part of this. So your children's education part to medium to long-term goals, you're given your ability to sustainably be a generous person. Your lifestyle decisions. You like vacationing, you like traveling. You would have to make a plan towards it as a goal. Else you'll be borrowing to do that. And that's what will sink your ship. So home ownership, you will need to buy a house, you plan it, and you work, save towards it, invest towards it. You want to live debt-free. And friends, I beg you, avoid living in debt. We'll talk about debt very soon. So let's move on. How do you transition from mere subsistence and survival, check to check, hand to mouth, to a state of financial freedom? We say financial freedom because of this Bible verse. Because the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. You don't have a chain around your hand or your neck or your waist, but if you borrow from somebody, you are their slave. They have a leverage over you because you borrowed from them. So I'm going to show you some investment vehicles and how we should think about investment. In fact, to start from there, and I was doing a Bible study earlier about the biblical basis for investment before this meeting. And basically, this is the passage. Ecclesiastes 11, 1-6. Some of you probably think investment and talking about money is carnal. I hope that those people are not here. But if you are like that, I have a message for you. Listen. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 or to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the way the spirit comes to the bone in the womb of a woman with a child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and at evening withhold not your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. That's every personal investment principle I can think of from learning finance over the past 10 years or more is right in this passage. And let me show you that in the next verse. These are the investment principles. So this is NLT, the previous one is ESV, just using two different kinds of translation. So you say, verse 1 says, send your grain across the seas, and in time your profit will flow back to you. Investment over savings. You can keep your grain, but it will not increase. So yes, saving is good, but investment is more important than savings. And of course, the verse also teaches time value of money. In time, the profit will flow back to you. Time value of money. Somebody can kindly write it down and go and read about it. Time is money. You've heard that being said. This is the concept. One of the first things you learn when you are learning any kind of finance, time value of money. And it works on the process called compounding. We've all done some basic math, so we know what compound interest is. That's what verse 1 is saying. Verse 2 says, but divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risk might lie ahead. Yes, it's talking about diversification and risk management. When you are learning finance, you can't dodge these things. This is where the saying, don't keep all your eggs in one basket, come from. Diversify. That's how you manage your risk. Verse 3, when the clouds are heavy, the rains come down. That talks about persistence or consistency yielding returns. You don't start investing today and expect abundance tomorrow. It takes persistence. And things happen, ups and downs. You saw the chart I showed you earlier. Everybody's melting down because Donald Trump has taken a decision and the financial markets are reacting. But that's how financial markets are. It takes consistency to grow your wealth. Whether a tree falls north or south, it stays where it falls. If you just save, your returns will not grow. It may even diminish over time. You put your money here. Yes, the tree has fallen there. It will remain there. Like the servant who dug a hole and hid his master's money there. If you just save and you don't invest, your money may eventually depreciate. If you save 10,000 Ghana cedis 10 years ago, that's a lot of money. You convert it to dollars. But now, how much? What can you buy? Verse 4 says, farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they will never harvest. That's risk taking. When you are handling finances, you want to invest, you inevitably have to take risk. You can't dodge risk. Risk is part of the game. And I'm telling you, I'm risk averse. I don't like risk. At least I studied risk management and insurance as my MPhil for 2 years. And I can tell you, nobody likes risk. That's why we manage it. But it's inevitable. We call something risk and return in finance. I should have put it here, crap. If you don't take a risk, you have no return. More risky assets produce more return. It's just the way finance works. Verse 5, just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in this mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does all things. God is sovereign over money. I told you that earlier. Verse 6, very important one, and I hope you pick it up. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. Multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income. If you are a scientist, yes, so important, but don't restrict yourself to only what your salary. Nobody can build wealth depending only on salary. It doesn't work. Can you start a small business in your home? Do it. Can you buy a car and use it for Uber? Add it. Streams of income, they may be small. Can you start doing a podcast and monetize it? Do it. Can you write stories? Put them into storybooks and sell. It's a stream of income. Expand your coast. So you can go and study the passage for yourself. Ecclesiastes 11, 1-6. You can study the whole chapter because it's important. Why should you bother investing? Investment is important because it helps you multiply money and enables you to give more. Give more to God's work, give more to people, make life easier for others. You look at the parable of the talents. One received 5, he turned it into 10. And the increase is available for God's use. He's able to use it. I've forgotten a scripture which says, he who gives to the poor lends to the God, and God is a debtor to no man. You give your money to the poor, you are taking care of people who are God's responsibility, and God will not be your debtor. He'll pay you back. To meet your future family needs, 1 Timothy 5:8 is saying that if you cannot provide for your own your family, your household, you are worse than an unbeliever, and you have denied the faith. Your money is needed to further the gospel and meet the needs of others. So critical. Of course, the reason why you are pursuing, and I have to bring this here because these are important principles you need to keep. The reason why you want to build wealth is not because you want people to see you that me too I did, or you envy another person's wealth or greed. Money will never satisfy your greed. And God is not interested in meeting your greed. He will meet your need, not your greed. Or you want to, some people are just pursuing money because they think that's all life is about. It's ignorance. No, there are more important things than money in life. But we pursue money because it's necessary. You invest the little you have to let go of because it can grow and will be a blessing to others. I've stated here that if you have the opportunity to build wealth and you don't, it's selfishness. It's selfishness because you don't want to have excess for others to depend on you. If you have the opportunity, it's selfishness not to grow wealth. What are some of the investment vehicles you can use? I'm stating this. Please pay attention here because these questions will come. Bank account. Please, if you want to invest, forget a current account. You don't need a current account now. A current account is an account, it doesn't earn any interest, and the bank charges you for keeping the account for you. We call it a checking account because some people think that, oh, because I'll have a checkbook. No, but I can have an ATM card if I keep or a savings withdrawal book if I keep a savings account. A current account is no. For now, if you are running a business, the business can have a current account. If the business has a lot of, but now with mobile money, you don't need a current account. So yes, you can start a savings account. A savings account earns you some interest. It's a little interest, but at least it's some interest. And the bank doesn't charge you for keeping a savings account for you because at least they are using your savings to also make money. So call accounts are also important. Call accounts are accounts that have some level of minimum requirements, which is quite big, but they earn interest daily. So you have some money, you can't keep it on yourself. You have some 15,000 cedis. Don't keep it in your savings account. Put it in the call account. You need it 1 week later. You would have earned some good interest on it. Not so much, but some good interest. Fixed deposits are also, you can have a fixed deposit account, but fixed deposits require you to invest a particular amount of money over a period of time, maybe 3 months or 6 months before you can touch the money. If you need the money urgently, you take it at a discount. It means you are not going to get all the interest you should have gotten, but you get some at least. So these are types of bank accounts, but they are the basic level. If you are not interested in investment, think about these ones. The basic level, at least avoid current accounts and keep your money in one of these. Then you can have money market instruments. The ones that I have put in italics are ones that generally an individual will not need, like commercial papers. Who does CPs now? It's for commerce. You don't need it. A repurchase agreement, repos. But treasury bills are popular. They are money market. And these ones are usually having up to a 1 year maturity period. So 3 months, 6 months. And they have the least risk. Okay, aside from bank accounts. So treasury bills is a government bill. It gives some good return, right? Ghana, that bad. Treasury bill rate in Ghana was as high as 25%. No wonder our banks collapsed because the banks were lazy. They decided to invest in the government bonds and other things. And when the government was doing debt exchange, there was a shockwave through the banks because they were enjoying high interest rates. They didn't have to do so much work to earn those rates elsewhere. Treasury bills are a good one. You can go to any bank, ask them you want a treasury bill account. They are going to do that for you. And sometimes even mobile apps for some of the banks can do that. And you send the money through your mobile money account and you just have to sit and wait. After 3 months, you can just roll it over. Then there are capital market instruments. Bonds, government bonds, they are close to T-bills, but usually you have more than a year bond because capital market. So the capital market is where the government or corporate entities raise large-scale financing, sort of. So they raise capital for funding their activities. And capital market bond instruments, the bonds, for example, like you can have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year government bond. And you put your money there, you'll be earning some monthly coupons. That's how we call it. Usually we don't have municipal and bonds in Ghana. There are corporate bonds, I'm sure, but they are not so much a big deal. But at least government bonds, you can sort of depend on them. If only we can trust that our government will not mess with it again and cut our hair and give us Sakura. Then there are stocks, equities, shares. You heard of the stock market. Equities are the same as stocks and shares. Equity is more like a general term, but stocks and shares are interchangeably used depending on the jurisdiction. So basically, when you buy a share or a stock, you are buying a portion of a company. So you buy MTN shares, you are now a part owner of MTN. And it's more risky. If MTN collapses, you lose your money. But it also increases more because there are two channels through which you earn. You earn dividends and also capital gains. Like I just mentioned to you that my investment in MTN, I bought it around 50 something, 59 pesos or something. And it's now over 2 cedis. That's capital gains. But every year, MTN also paid dividends. Then there are mortgages. So a mortgage is not exactly an investment. You are not the investor in a mortgage. That's why I put a star there. But let's say you want to buy a house, you can go and take it as a debt, okay, and use that loan. So it's a loan you are taking to buy a house, and you pay the loan over a period. So you are paying interest in this case. But at least it's saving you the stress of having to save to that amount where you can get enough to buy a house, and you go and the house prices keep increasing. All right? But you need expert advice when you want to engage with mortgages. So take note of that. Then there are mutual funds and exchange traded funds. Those are similar, but they have different ways in which they work. Mutual funds is like we are all bringing our money together to invest it as a fund in these set of financial instruments, and then we share the returns. Real estate investment and REITs. REITs are real estate investment trusts. So they behave like the exchange traded funds. There are debentures, really, for technical uses and other things. But these are capital market instruments. Then there is the forex market, and this is where the risk runs up so high, and I have to give you a warning. Because some of us want to start investment and we want to jump straight to forex. You lose all your money. I can prophesy that without closing my eyes. So forex market is where you are holding or trading currencies. So maybe you had some money 5 years ago you didn't need and used it to buy dollars. And the dollar has almost doubled or tripled since then in its value. That's how much our currency lost its value. Think about it. Now you have much more just by holding that currency. And that's a lot more stable. Although it's risky, the dollar is king, yes, but it's the world's reserve currency. But at the same time, it can get risky. Let me just put it that way. Then there are alternative assets like commodities, trading gold, trading oil, trading all sorts of commodities, and cryptocurrencies and tokens. That's non-fungible tokens and other tokens on the crypto. These are different assets, but please, like I said, these are highly risky investments, and you should only invest what you are willing to lose in these markets. Do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. These are for educational purposes only. Okay? You have, at least, I remember blowing 2 Forex accounts. The money just it vanished. 2 different accounts, I blew it. Thankfully, I was investing what I could afford to lose. But I can also assure you, because the risk is high, the return is high. So your appetite for risk must come here. Now let's talk briefly about insurance and retirement, and then I'll close. Why should you insure? Insurance seeks to protect you against future financial loss. So maybe there is a trouble, maybe there is a flood and you lose your house, or there is something happen, your house catches fire, some unfortunate situation that makes you lose a lot of money at the same time. If you have insurance against that, then insurance company will come and restore you to the place where you were. And there are also personal insurance and employee benefit schemes. We don't have time to go in now. What insurance does is insurance, life insurance particularly, is based on, maybe you are picking up life insurance for your family or for your life. It protects your family maybe when you are no more there, because they are able to earn some annuity month on month. And of course, your premiums will be based on your age and your economic situation and other things. So insurance is critical. And if you have, I think everybody should have some form of insurance, at least health insurance. So if you don't have NHIS, it's a good idea to go try it. I know some people despise NHIS. Fine, I understand. But it's a good place to start. Have some form of insurance. Whether it's a liability insurance, you want to cause problems somehow. Unfortunately, you didn't intend to. You want to destroy somebody's farm. It's a liability. You have to pay for it. If you don't have insurance covering yours, or you want to say something and somebody sue you for libel, for defamation. If you don't have liability insurance, that gets it covered, particularly for those, or maybe you do a product, maybe a drug, and it causes a problem after testing, you put in the market and somebody sues your company. Liability insurance covers that. Life insurance, disability income. So somebody gets disabled, is no longer able to do the work they are doing. Liability insurance gets to pay them what they would have earned if they were able to do that work. Educational, ensuring your children's education. And there are some combinations of investment and insurance packages. I think the market is getting a lot creative. You can explore those. Retirement planning. Some of us, some of us, when we mention retirement, we think that day will never come. And like Jesus said, if you don't take it, you are there and it comes like a thief. And everything changes because you are now wondering, what do I have? You don't have a house. You've been working for how long? 25, 35 years. Where am I going to stay? Probably you were staying in a bungalow all your life. No. Start planning your retirement now. So retirement planning involves putting financial strategies of saving, investment, and generally distributing your money so that you can be sustained when you retire. So there are so many investment vehicles that can do that for you. Fixed deposits, pension schemes, they allow you to grow your money. Then there is what retirement planning does uniquely is that it takes into consideration your future expenses and determines how much you should set aside today. Okay? So it takes into account your assets, your income, but also your future expenses and liabilities. And your life expectancy. How long are you likely going to live based on your present conditions? Okay? And then, if you don't plan your retirement now, you can't expect to live comfortably in your sunset years. So, for your own future financial security, identify an appropriate retirement plan. Aim to persist with it for as long as possible till you retire. The money is your own. You are saving for yourself. Some people think, oh, but what if I don't live long? After retirement, maybe 5 years later, I die. You will have children. If you don't, you have relatives. If you don't, the government will take care of it. Future generations will be blessed by it. But don't risk your future financial freedom because of that selfishness. Okay? Proverbs 6:6-8 says, go to the ant, you sluggard, and learn her ways. It has no master, no ruler or king, but it works hard in the summer to provide for herself in the winter. So your pensions law in Ghana, 2008, allows up to 35% contribution with some tax-free deductions. So there is a compulsory SNIT tier 1, 13.5%. 2% of that is used to pay for your health insurance. That's why your health insurance is subsidized if you are on SNIT. Tier 2 is a compulsory private pension your company is supposed to fund. So that 5% is taken added to the 13.5 and it makes 18.5%. But there is a tier 3. Many people don't consider it. It's voluntary. You can choose to make that contribution. You can negotiate with your company to contribute some part of that 16.5%. You add some, and that is tax-free savings for you for your future. So if I were you, you insist on saving the full tier 3 16.5%. It's so necessary. Well, let's start closing with general rules. First on personal financial management and then on personal financial planning. These are just rules listed. You can choose to take it or ignore them, but I advise you take them. Number 1, develop. So these are some form of a summary of what I've spoken about so far. Develop personal financial budget or cash flow plan. Your income, that includes your salaries, allowances, rent, interest, profit. Your expenditure, there are 3 types of expenditure. There are fixed expenses, right? Like your rent, your committed expenses like your utilities, ECG, electricity bill, water bill, all those things. Then there is the discretionary expenses, fancy clothing, entertainment, other things. Choose which ones to commit to. Then you develop personal financial report or statement or carry out a personal financial audit. If you see, your life is your own company. You are the CEO. Dr. Alpebi puts it, he calls it me incorporated. If you were a company, will you be running your life the way you are running it? Yes, you are a company, you are the CEO. Develop reports at the end of the month or the quarter. What's your personal financial report for your life? Have you audited your finances? Where did you cause waste? Where did you lose money unnecessarily? What did you do well? You can reward yourself for that. Develop the attitude of financial discipline. Avoid impulse and unnecessary purchases. Hello, our sisters here. Hi, sisters. Please, sometimes we only do window shopping. Can't buy everything. Identify and take advantage of tax saving opportunities. The tax law provides, if maybe you are schooling and you are working at the same time, there are tax reliefs that the government provides for you. Take advantage of those things. You will save on your tax you pay. You have dependents. There are tax reliefs that come with that. Then engage in multiple streams of income where possible. Some part-time job, some online job. You learn some graphic designing. You learn some online investment. You learn some forex trading, crypto trading. Multiple streams of income. The last one, be in unity with your spouse or your family in general in terms of your finances. If you want to enjoy your financial freedom, you better take care of that because it can be the reason why your finances are messed up if you don't have family unity. Financial planning, general rules. Distinguish between loans and cash gift to family and friends. Some of us don't know how to do this. Your friend asks you for money. Clarify, the money I'm giving you, is it a loan or you want a gift? If the person says they want a gift and you can't get that amount, you're asking, oh, can you get some 500 cedis for me? If it's a loan, I may be able to let go of this amount for some time, but I can't let go of it entirely. Next week I'll need it. So if all I can afford is I can give you 50 cedis, but I can't give you 500 cedis, why not? So you give the 500 cedis to him. Next week you call and say, Charlie, the money I gave you last week, can I have it back? And they're like, oh, I thought it was a gift to clarify. Create contingency funds and investment strategy. Oh, invest prudently. Invest. Contingency funds are funds. Let's say you have created a fund for your children's education. You know one day you start paying school fees, right? When your children get to the university. Even SHS. Oh, some of you don't believe that. Some of us have to take care of our brothers and sisters. There are people here who are paying for their mock fees for their brothers, they are buying school uniforms, other things. You can create a contingency fund and keep some money in there, which will be growing alongside periodically. Maybe just some 5% of your income going in there every month, so that by the time it's time for your children to be in school, that is taken care of. Separate personal finances from business finances. If you are running a business, pay yourself from the business. Don't just go and take the sales or the profit or other things and use it for personal things. Separate it. Okay? If you are running a business on campus and all you can do is to pay yourself 70 Ghana cedis every month, do that and invest the rest of the money in the business. If you mix everything, you will soon run into a crisis. Establish an emergency fund. Just like the contingency fund, your emergency fund is a fund that if you have a problem, an emergency, you can go to and take the money out. And then investment funds for the long haul. And then retirement planning. Plan your retirement. Don't depend only on SNIT and the government retirement scheme to take care of your retirement. You'll regret it. Have a different plan for your retirement. And then debt management. Some of us are comfortable depending on debt. It will kill you. And I mean that literally, because the mental health issues and other things that come up. So this is a simple spending formula I've put here. Okay, your income should be equal to your expenditure. Your expenditure, your tithe and taxes, consumption, saving, and investment. All of that should not be more than your income. So if you are single, you are not married, your income is 100%, your tithe 10%, your consumption 20%, your savings 30%, your investment 40%. If you earn 3,000 Ghana cedis, for example, doing some part-time job somewhere, you are still in school, 300 goes to your tithe. What's 20% of 3,000? That's our 600 cedis. If you are only earning 3,000 and you are consuming more than 600, then it's either you are consuming too much or you need multiple streams of income. And that's why being disciplined with your expenditure will be important. So savings, save 30%, some 900 cedis, invest 40%. The savings will come in handy when you immediately need help. If you get married, the game changes. You may have to spend about 40% on your consumption, because now you are two. And your savings and your investments will also have to reduce, because you are now taking care of another person. And one of the most foolish things you can do is to be taking care of somebody as though they are your spouse when you are just in a relationship. If that becomes a contingency and situations are hard and that becomes the case, why not? But if you've taken up that job as though you are their father, taking care of them. Let me keep quiet. What should you avoid? Avoid borrowing for consumption. Don't borrow to buy food, things that you consume. Borrow to buy a phone. If what you are borrowing to do doesn't bring you income, avoid it. Avoid borrowing to buy a car. Save towards buying a car. Because a car, unless you are using the car for Uber or to bring you some money, fine. But you are borrowing to buy something which is not going to be an inflow unit, but will be an outflow unit. You are sinking yourself. Avoid depending on loans. Remember the Proverbs 22 verse 7. Avoid speculation and rash investments. Men's gold, Ponzi schemes. We warned people about this thing. I remember all the way back from level 200, from somewhere 2014. We were 2014, we were warning people about this men's bank, men's gold thing and all that. And they were like, you are just jealous and you are trying to spoil the boys' business. Where did it end us? Avoid or minimize impulse buying. Buying just because others are buying. Buying just because you feel like it. This is why you need a budget and you need to stick by it. Avoid or minimize keeping too much cash on you. Sometimes you have the impulse to buy something and you check your wallet, oh, I didn't take money on me. You have delivered yourself from making a mistake. Avoid investments that can cause anxiety. You went to borrow money or your school fees, then you went to put it in Bitcoin. It's high risk. Now you can't sleep. I told you, for those forex market and alternative market assets, instruments, only invest money you are willing to lose in there. At least for now. Avoid relying on Social Security as your primary source of retirement income. I've said that already. Conclusion. These are some quotes from Warren Buffett. On earning, he said, never depend on single income. Make investments to create a second source. On spending, he said, if you buy things you don't need, you will soon have to sell things you need. On savings, he says, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. On taking risk, he said, never test the depth of a river with both of the feet. On investment, he said, do not put all your eggs in one basket. On expectations, honesty is very expensive. Do not expect it from cheap people. Some of you somebody told you that, oh, by Tuesday, I'll send you some 300 cedis. And you start planning with it. And the money you should have kept for something on Wednesday, you spend it today because you are depending on the expectation that somebody will send you something on Tuesday. If that is not an obligation for the person, you are digging a grave. Dave Ramsey, he said, the thing I have discovered about working with personal finance is that the good news is that it is not rocket science. Personal finance is about 80% behavior. It is only about 20% head knowledge. Did you hear that? That's why I told you earlier, you don't need a degree to be an expert at personal finance. Matthew Morrison, every time you borrow money, you are robbing from your future self. Every time you borrow money, you are robbing from your future self. Will Smith said, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like. Just think about some of the people you bought the iPhone to impress. Do you really? No comment. Your attitude towards money can make or unmake you. Jesus spoke so much about money. And it's because your attitude towards money can take you to heaven or hell. 16 out of 38 of Jesus' parables deal with money. That's 42%. More is said in the New Testament about money than heaven and hell combined. Money is talked about 5 times more than prayer. There are about 500 verses on prayer and faith. There are about over 2,000 verses that deal with money and possessions. This is a serious issue. And that's why you've done well for yourself coming to learn. Any questions?